This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you once again for tuning in to INCRadio, Central Valley, California. We're so good to be back. I'm again your host with the most, Mark Marenko, tuning in from Bakersfield, California. It is a solid 47 degrees here. It doesn't get any better than that, brother, right? And it's 9:02 p.m. We're excited for today's show. We're going to be talking about sports, keeping the ball rolling, as we say, right? But I am not alone today on the show. Today I have with me Marshall and Ray. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, Mark. How about you?
Doing good. Ray, what about you? How you doing?
I'm doing good over here too.
And again, thank you guys for taking the time out of your night to be able to join us here on INCRadio. And for everyone here that's also tuned in, we appreciate you for always showing your support here. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and like today's podcast, and please subscribe to the channel. And also be sure to hit that notification bell so you can stay tuned in on everything INCRadio, Central Valley, California. And so to begin today's topic, guys, keeping the ball rolling, right? We were talking about sports, nurturing talents, and even our skills through the sports that we play. And so before we get into all of that, talk about, why we love playing the sport, whatever, right? What sports are you guys currently playing right now that you want to share? Mars?
I'll start off. So currently I'm playing varsity basketball for my high school, Lemoore High School. And yeah, we've been pretty good. We have a winning record right now, but it could be better.
Mars, what about you?
Oh, okay. So for me, I have played basketball and volleyball. I played basketball for uni games, but currently right now I am coaching for my old high school team, Philip J. Patino School of Entrepreneurship.
So it sounds like you guys are both pretty involved in your team plays in high school. I wanted to go ahead and ask actually, now that we talked about what we're currently doing, is there anything like specific that we either wear when it comes to uniforms that we always wear when we play games, or is there a type of shoes that we always use? Ray, I see you're trying to go ahead.
I'll start. So me, my go-to outfit is a compression shirt and compression pants under my shorts. And so the compression pants, they keep me super warm and they look pretty cool. And then the compression shirt, I moved on from baggy t-shirts because they would mess up my shoe uniform because they would get stuck on my arm. So that's why I switched to compression shirts so that it wouldn't, hinder my jump shot. And then as for shoes, I got a lot of shoes, but my go-to is the AR1s by Austin Reeves.
Okay. Is there did you just start wearing compression pants and shorts, or is it you picked it up within the year or the last year?
Well, I definitely started wearing it more this year because I have a thing where it's if I wear it for one game and I play good, I'm gonna start wearing it for the other games so that those good games will start to be consistent.
Mars, what about you? Do you wear any compression shorts or sleeves like that?
I'm kind of the same style as Ray when it comes to compression pants and compression shirts. I think the only difference is that while I do wear both pants and shirt, I like the long sleeves a little bit more just because it just feels more comfortable for me. I didn't wear them initially when I played basketball. I think I picked it up after watching NBA a little bit more as I was younger, watching other NBA players rep it, kind of the style. I kind of liked it. In terms of shoes, I think the only shoes, because I remember I didn't have that much money, buying basketball shoes. So the only ones I ever had was what my coach gave me back in high school, and those were Kyrie Infinities. I really like Kyrie shoes because you can be really, really mobile in those shoes. They're really comfortable.
Which color did you have, Marshall? I had a pair of Kyrie Infinities as well.
Oh shit. I think my color was black and red. They did have a white, black, and red one, which I did like, but of course, like when your coach is giving out shoes, right? There's only like a limited amount,
Yeah,
and I wasn't there the day they were picking out shoes, so I got the black and red ones, but they were pretty good though. What color was yours?
Mine was like it was purple and yellow, so it was like pretty much school colors, and so yeah, it matched our jerseys.
And like so to add on what you guys are saying, like for my first pair of shoes, the first pair of basketball shoes that I ever wore was, I know y'all not gonna like this. I had a pair of Skechers.
Oh no! Oh no!
And it's the like the 5-inch thick ones too, where it's like I was so high off the ground that I had to learn how to play basketball in those Skechers. So then I'm just like, imagine like a 16, 17-year-old Mark running around with big Skechers playing basketball.
I mean, they must have been comfortable.
They were, and cheap too. So,
Mark, I don't know if you could play efficient basketball in those shoes. Now that I think about it.
hey man, whatever gets the ball in the bucket, right? So,
Yeah.
And so we talked about like the stuff that we wear, and it's actually pretty cool how like we consistently either do the same thing or use the same type of gear whenever we play the sport that we love, right? And so I wanted to go ahead and now ask what are some interesting or amazing things that you've done within the sport, whether that be like sports traditions or big sporting events that you guys have been to that you want to go ahead and share with the audience today.
Okay, so I'll go first. It was actually this year, in June. We all know Paul George, right? NBA player. He hosted a little like tournament with the Fresno City College team. So they made their own team versus the Fresno City College team, and we went to go watch it. Me and my brother, and one more. Her name is Cassandra. When we went, Paul George was, of course, not playing. He was on the sideline, so I got to watch him on the sideline like he was a fan. But Isaiah Thomas was playing. Now, I think what makes this event so memorable is just it made me realize the skill gap between regular people and NBA players. Because when you watch Isaiah Thomas, he was like my Michael Jordan of like the world. Like he was not missing any shots. And so I think that was the most memorable event for me in recent years.
Ray, what about you?
For me, I recently was able to go to a basketball camp in somewhere up in Washington. And so in that camp, it was a week-long camp. So we had the opportunity to stay in the college dorms. And so we learned what it was like to like live without our parents. And so that was a new experience for me. But that camp, we had such a rigorous schedule. We would wake up 7 a.m., get breakfast, and then we would have gym sessions from 8 to 12. And then from 12 to 1, we would have lunch. From 1 to 5 for another 4 hours, we would have another gym session and then dinner. And then from 6 to 10, we would have our final gym session of the day. And so we did that for 5 days. And so, yeah, it was a lot of hard work, but I was able to, I was surrounded by people who loved the same sport as I did. And so it was a pretty good experience.
Yeah, it must be easy to also like get to meet people that share the same type of love and passion that you have for the sport, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I met a lot of people. I connected with them on Instagram, and we keep in touch a little, but not as much as we did at the camp because we were with each other every single day. But we still keep in touch.
What were you guys practicing for? Like the NBA finals? Like,
No.
schedule every day?
It was like more like a developmental camp. And so we learned like leadership qualities on top of, basketball skills. And so, yeah, and a lot of the stuff they were teaching at that camp, you can apply to real life.
And like, it's cool how we've all been a part of like these great big sporting events, because then it gives us a bigger perception of the game outside of the game, right? So if I can add on to what you guys have already mentioned about, for us, we usually have an event called Unity Games every year. And my biggest moment was actually my first year ever playing for Unity Games back in 2014. This was when we were still Northern California guys, all right? And I was a 17-year-old, 16-year-old Bin He playing up against all of Northern California. And like, oh my gosh, it was probably one of the most surreal moments of my life. Got to be able to play against my peers and to be able to compete with my friends who are now my brothers in like for forever, right? It was so awesome to be able to have that moment, and that like the awe moment of like everyone's here for the same purpose, and it's just to play basketball and have fun with each other. So with that being said, right, I actually want to go ahead and kickstart our discussion for today's show. And we talked about, the sports that we play, right? We talked about some of the amazing moments, the many moments that we've had in the sport, right? And so now I want to go ahead and ask, like why do we play the sport? Why do you guys play the sports that you are currently playing, and what got you interested to begin with?
So I'll start off. And so I just want to say, at first, I didn't love basketball at first. I've been playing the sport since, I was out the womb, but I didn't really love doing it. I remember my dad, I always felt like my dad would force me to play. My true passion was soccer. Actually,
No
on my
way,
soccer,
no way.
yeah. Yeah, I was a D1 goalkeeper. I was the best goalkeeper in our league.
D1? No,
I,
oh my gosh, bro.
I think if I would have stuck with it, I would have, I wouldn't be in California right now. I could have been in like Ecuador or Cuba playing soccer. But yeah, so it wasn't until I got into middle school where a lot of my friends and a lot of, the cool kids, they played basketball, and so I wanted to be like them. I wanted to fit in, and so that's where I developed my love for basketball.
Mars, what about you?
I think my road was a little bit different when I was growing up with my family, here in Fresno. I didn't really get into playing basketball until I got into middle school, 6th grade. But I will say I was already kind of tapped into basketball because of my brothers. We would play 2K, like kind of a lot. And I think that's what planted my competitive nature, because of course, when you're a kid and you're going against your older brothers in a game, of course you lose almost half of the time. But going into like middle school basketball, I think I just tried it out because playing with my brothers felt so it felt so nice, that competitive nature. I didn't think I had that until I played games with my brothers. So when I went into basketball middle school, I already kind of had that spirit of when I played those basketball games. Even though it was just a middle school basketball game, I was treating it as if like it was professional, like I was getting money from it and stuff like that, just because I was just so passionate about basketball, just a game and stuff like that.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because then everybody has those moments when they were younger where they're just like, it seems like the world to everyone. And sports honestly magnifies those moments. Am I right? Like,
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with you there.
No, because especially back in middle school, I think that's in 2016 when the LeBron career. That's kind of what I grew up with, and I'm glad I kind of grew up in that place, because that's where I gained love of basketball. If I feel like if I was a kid right now, going to basketball, I don't think I would be that same person loving basketball, if that makes sense.
no, and for everyone tuned in too, if you can please share that moment that you've had, whether that be like recently or even back when you were in high school too, that moment where it was just it's small to everybody else, but it was just, but for you it was like your the wow moments in your life, right? Please share that in the comment section so we can read that later towards the end of the show. And so in talk of those like big moments, right? Those amazing moments that we get to have on the court of basketball. I want to go ahead and ask the both of you now. How do you prepare for the fourth quarter moments? And how do you what's the preparation like going into those quarters?
Mark, I'm comfortable in those positions nowadays. I feel like if it was coming down to it 5 seconds, the ball needs to be in my hands. But it wasn't always like that. Especially during one of our Ben He Unity games during the last game. Ray was there with me. He knows the moment. I was kind of not in the zone when it came down to actually winning in a final game. I cracked under pressure. And what I learned from that day on is to not be scared from what you were doing that whole time. It's not to get out of that psyche, because I translated that after Ben He games to my high school team. And what they've taught me is that whenever you're in a situation, you always have a plan. And when plans fail, you go with your instincts, because at that point, it's not about, who has the better play, who can read better. It's all about who just wants it more. And you got to have that concentrated spirit. You got to have that, concentrated emotion. I think that's what you need in a big moment like that. You just don't be scared to take it.
Definitely. For me, the best thing for me to do is just to not think. Because if I start thinking, then I start overthinking. And so, to be honest, when I go into the fourth quarter in a close game, my mind is empty. But, it's not like I'm just going to go out there and, just throw up whatever and, not think about the shot I'm taking. But, it's just better not to think about, to overthink about what you're going to do, so that, because overthinking will cause you to make more mistakes.
You ever had a moment like that?
Definitely. There was this one time during regional Unity games, and I don't remember what year it was, but it was pretty recent. And we were against, I think we were still part of Northeast California, and we were playing Northwest. I got a steal, and we were down 2 at the last second. And so I saw one of my friends, his name is Ashton. He was under the basket, right? But the tall player, he was in between us. And so in that moment, I didn't make the right decision, and I pulled up and shot it from an awkward position, and I missed. And so, yeah. So
I mean, being in that moment though, even if you missed or made it, you still believed in yourself to take that. I think that's the most important thing though, to realize that you can lose in those situations, and it's okay, because anyone can miss.
Yeah, it just hurt pretty bad,
And guys, I will say this too. I've had a lot of games, spent a lot of games, and I understand where you guys are coming from, missing those important shots. I think in my entire Unity Games career, I've been in 5 moments where I could have ended the game, and I haven't hit a single shot. So,
what was the most important one though? Let's hear the story. I want to hear it.
I think the most important shot that I've ever had to take was this was in a youth league that me and a bunch of my friends from school wanted to participate in, because we were just a bunch of street hoopers, and we thought we were good, but then we weren't organized, but we had the skill to be able to keep up, right? Because whenever we would play against high school teams in the park, we would dominate. We would smoke them off the court, right? And so
yeah.
and so we got into this league, and we were actually doing really good for just a bunch of guys that wanted to hoop. And we were in the semifinals actually of that league. Oddly enough, we beat out varsity teams. We were beating out people that actually train with coaches and whatnot. We just hoop every day. So then we got into semifinals, and it was 50-50, fourth quarter, right? It was our ball, and I haven't taken a single jump shot the entire time, right? But my team knows that I'm especially back in the day, that I can knock down some pretty crazy shots. And we had inbound play. I got the ball, and I was wide open, and I shot the ball, and I hit the backboard so hard. And we went into OT, and my teammates were just laughing. They were like, you'll get him next time, Mark. You get him next time. And then we ended up losing that game. But the fact that my teammates were cool about it and they were supportive, it honestly made me really happy to know that they got my back.
Yeah, I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's that winner mentality.
And so, we all go through those like, ups and downs, right? And it takes a lot on our mental game, especially bouncing back from like one of those bad performances, right? So I wanted to ask you guys, what does it take to be able to bounce back after a failure, or even after like a bad performance, to go into the next game with like a better mindset or a better attitude?
Here, I'll go first. If it's okay, I'm gonna use an example specifically in my high school, my senior high school year. Before that, there was this team called Duncan, and our team was projected that whole last year to beat Duncan, and we were the opening game regular season, and we lost by 2. Now I remember my whole team being so distraught, right? Because you expect to win, and sometimes freak accident happens, push comes to shove, and it's not in your favor. The best thing to do, you look at it, big whoop. What are you going to do? How are you going to respond? Because essentially, not only is it a loss, it's a challenge to you. It's what are you going to do? And so after we lost, we didn't stop, but we actually pushed farther than I think we would have pushed if we won. And that's why I think specifically with this topic of what can we learn about staying calm under pressure and what happens, what do we do to respond? Sometimes we need those type of moments where we lose, because then it brings something out of us deep inside for us to excel.
Yeah, adding on to that, something like my coach like preaches about is to have short-term memory. And so for me personally, like I really hate losing. And so I remember for a while, like even in high school, like I would cry every time we lost, because like I would just be so angry at myself. But my varsity coach, like he just appreciates like we gotta have a short-term memory and like move on to the next game, because leave this bad game behind us, and put our good product forward.
And we can learn so much from the experiences that we have in sports, right, guys? Like a lot, and a phrase that I was taught as well. It goes bigger than basketball, right? It's always bigger than basketball. What we learn on the court, we can always take it off the court and apply it to our own lives as well. And so, from the experiences that you've shared, from the moments that you've had in life with the sport of basketball, what are some things that you can learn from your experiences in sports and apply that to your own lives?
Something that I've learned from sports is time management. And so, being in high school, I have a lot of priorities. So for me, I juggle, high school classes. I'm also taking college classes. And then on top of that, basketball practices and games. And then on top of that, I have my duties in the church. So sometimes, you have to sacrifice one thing for another. So for me, sometimes that means missing a practice or missing a game so that I'll be able to perform my duty the next day.
I really like that answer. I think time management is kind of like, if I were to jot it down to like 5 aspects, time management would be one of them. And that's how just important it is. But to go off from what Ray said, I think being in the moment is also important, because sometimes in my own life, I struggle with thinking about the future, specifically if I don't know what's going to happen. So like transitioning from high school to college, what's going to be my major, if, expectations of failing and stuff like that. And then also looking at the past, when I have shortcomings and stuff like that, I always tend to dwell on them because, like Ray says, I agree. I don't like losing either. So I tend to dwell on them sometimes. But that thing of short-term memory helps with being in the moment. And that kind of helps specifically when we went to Unity games. That helped me to just be in the moment with the brethren there and just play basketball. And everything just made sense after. I didn't feel as if anything was bothering me, because I was just taking everything all at once at the same time, if that makes sense. And basketball can help you with that, because everything is in the moment. Everything is a transition of events and what you do after the fact. Not, think about it or, expect something in the future. It's always about what are you doing in that specific moment.
And so to tie everything together, guys, before we end the show, I wanted to go ahead and ask for the both of you to please, in one sentence, convince everyone why should you get into sports. Yeah, one sentence, okay?
Okay, I'll go first. Okay. It is fun.
Oh, well, hey, you're not wrong about that, Ray. Mars, what about you?
In one sentence, this is like shot clock, fourth quarter, big moment. In one sentence, I'd say having fun with people you love.
And guys, you guys couldn't have said it any better, right? I think what you guys mentioned about like sacrifice, you guys mentioned about time management, you mentioned about being professional with each other, the sense of community that everyone has when it comes to the sport is something that we all can relate to. It's something that we all want in our lives, right? That to be a part of something that's bigger than basketball, something that ties us together because we love something, the sport that we love, and to have meet people along our way, because we never know the people that we get to meet in our life. And so, with that being said, Marshall, Ray, thank you for joining me on the show. It was awesome being able to hear both of your experiences when it comes to the sport that we all love. And now we're going to go ahead and actually just read a couple of comments before we end today's show. So, I'm going to read from Manny Jalutan. Hello po, tuning in from Orosi, California. Kamani po, one of our ministers. Thank you for tuning in to the show. From Justin Tioga, good afternoon here in the Philippines. Justin, what's going on, my man? Good to see you on the show. From Christopher Banyaga, good evening to all. From Ben Nofuente, get buckets, brother Ray. Oh my gosh, brother Ray, you got fans in the chat. Let's go. From Ka-Ejem Cordova, good evening po mga kapatid or beloved brethren. Happy viewing po to everyone. Hashtag Eagle Rock. Ka-Ejem was the resident minister in Bakersfield before he got transferred out. A couple more comments from Angelina Hightower, watching from the local congregation of Orosi, district of CVC. From Sarah Lea Ricardio, good evening po to all the ministers' wives in the district of Central Valley, California. Thank you, Sarah, for tuning in. From Josiah Sanchez, viewing from Santa Maria. And then last but not least, from Mario Oka, good evening here in the Philippines and enjoying here in INCRadio, Central Valley, California. Thank you, everyone, for your constant support in INCRadio, Central Valley, California. We'd also like to thank our INCRadio station manager, Brother Wally Tarai, our SEBC president and CFO coordinator, Brother Angelo Rania Vimanalo, and, of course, to our executive minister, Brother Eduardo Vimanalo. Thank you so much, Paul, for all that you do for the church, for approving programs like this, and for being the one to be able to lead us in everything that we do. And so, until next time, to keep the ball rolling, tune in next time to INCRadio, Central Valley, California. Take care, everyone.
Sa iglesia sila ay nagmamahal. Sa amin iyong ibiniyaya ang pamamahala.